Hey folks, welcome back to Guitar Music YouTube channel. My name is Jakub Saputra. I'm a composer and a jazz pianist. And you are just arrived at the part 2 of the C major series. If you're like wondering like, wait, what's C major series here? Why am I in the part 2? Well, because there's a part 1. I'm gonna put the link below or right here. You can find it. We are in the 3-part series of C major. Basically, the premise is to answer what can you do to make a humble C major chord more interesting. So we are actually playing with the spectrum of C major. In the part 1 video, I explained about the whole notions of how we can make the humble C major chord as we know it become more and more interesting. In the part 1, we also explore the neutral territory of a C major. So if you haven't already, you might want to go to the part 1 video where you're going to get the whole context of what we're talking about here. So you don't just get lost into the wilderness right here, you know? Because this is just the part 2 and it's going to be a little shorter one. Because right now we are going away from the neutral territory of C major spectrum and we start going to the spectrum where there's gonna be some functional differences. The next type of C that I want to introduce to you guys right now is a C6. I'm adding an A on the mix of the C major right here. So we have a C major and I'm adding the 6 or A into the mix. Now I have a C6. If you remember, I said that the power chord is very powerful to just give like the bass, just like a very good solid foundations to beef up the chord. Nothing fancy, just 1-5. It doesn't change anything. So the right hand is where I make the changes here. It sounds very happy, very bright. This is looking very, very bright. But it's actually start touching into a different territory. We can start thinking about it as a 6 minor or the relative minor of C major, which is A minor. Well, because if you think about it, C major 6, it's also a first inversion of A minor 7. Because A minor 7 looks like this. A, C, E, G. And if you put the A on top, we have a first inversion of A minor 7. I have a mixed feeling about this because, to be honest, if I play like this, I really don't hear a minor chord in there. I really hear a very strong major chord with some color on top, right? But if I start playing it differently, for example, like this, or like this, or like this, now I feel a little bit more minor A because this have start getting more established, right? But how neutral it is? It's very neutral, isn't it? So we start stepping into a more ambiguous place where it still sounds very neutral, but nonetheless, we can start feeling there's a functional difference in that chord. Very, very subtle though, right? It's very, very subtle. And it's gonna be a little bit more obvious. The minor chord will be more obvious if I play in a different voicing, like what we discussed earlier. If I play like this, it sounds a little bit more A minor-ish, right? Because now I'm kind of like accentuate the shape of A minor, the basic chord of A minor. If I play like this, now it sounds a lot more like A minor, or like this, or like this. We start feeling like it's a little bit more low towards A minor than a C major. That's why we call this the functional difference territory of the spectrum, because we still find some sort of neutrality in this chord, but at the same time we feel like I can use this for a different purpose, right? It's kind of like a multi-purpose chord. Well, before we going away from C6, we can actually put 9 back. Remember the 9th? Remember the 9 that we put on the C major 7 in the neutral territory? We can also put it right here. We can have a C6-9. I know. No pun intended. I didn't just make this up right now. It really exists, all right? So basically, it's a 6-6 with the 9. We put it right there. So it sounds very jazzy. Yes, it's used in jazz a lot. Notice that I didn't even put the 7 right here, because theoretically I'm replacing the 7 with the 6. And sort of like replacing the 3rd with the 9th, but not really. But what happened if we add the 7th? Can we do that? Sure we can. Ooh, look at that. Those are the chords that I play using the C6-9 with major 7. It's actually now called a C major 7 with tension 9 and tension 13. Yeah, it's kind of like filling up almost all the notes in the octave of C. The only notes that is not played is F, literally, right? So if you have the conviction to play something like this, it can be a very beautiful chord. And if you notice, I'm kind of like rearranging the voicing. I'm revoicing it, so using the same collections of notes but in a different orders and at different length intervals, I can create a much more elegant and sophisticated sounding from exactly the same chord. Sounds very neutral but still have a lot of flavor. I'm kind of like incorporating the 1, 2, 5, 7 voicing also on the right hand while doing other things with my left hand. Well, if you slow it down, I might not play all the notes that I was intended to play, but the intention is if you play that all those notes together, different voicing, it will work just fine and more sophisticated. So please do try that. Well, that's C6, C6-9, and we also talk about the C major 7 with tension 9 and 13. To establish that. Still sound very neutral, but have a lot of flavor and now has more function than just a tonic chord. Very beautiful. The next chord that I want to explore is actually a very simple that you might already know. It's called a C sus4. Yeah. Well, if you notice in the intro, I'm kind of using this C sus4 to break away from the monotony of C major. If I keep doing the C major, the neutral C major without doing anything, it's gonna be feeling very boring, very plain. But because I have the C sus4 on my belt, I can make the music feels like it's moving somewhere, even though it's actually basically kind of stalling at the same time too. It's very interesting, right? That's why the C sus4, I put C sus4 in the functional difference territory of the spectrum, because now it functions as a subdominant chord. It's functioning as a subdominant chord. It feels like it's going somewhere. In fact, C sus4 in its basic form, C, F, G, it's actually the second version of F sus2. Interesting, isn't it? Because if I play F sus2 and I put the F on top, this is the first inversion. And if I put the G on the top, now I get into the second inversion of F sus2, which is a C sus4. Very interesting, right? Because of that, now we feel like we're actually playing F. Yeah, sort of. We're kind of like playing F at this time. And F is the subdominant of C. If the tonic is C, F is the subdominant. Well, this is very interesting because actually with C sus2 and C sus4, you can actually get away playing a lot of different chords, or different song rather. And I have a tutorial where I attempt to play I Am a Friend of God with only C sus2 and C sus4 essentially. I'm going to put the link below, so you want to check it out. It's going to be very interesting, and you can play song really, really quick, especially if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, that's going to be your first song, and you're going to be nailing it like in no time. I promise you that. So basically, those are the only two things that I can think of from the functional difference territory of the spectrum, which is C6 which start have a functionality of A minor 7 or the relative minor of C, and also C sus4, which is function as a subdominant chord as well. It's pretty interesting, right? So with using these two chords, C6 or its variations, C6-9 and C major 7 with tension 9 and tension 13, and C sus4, combine it with the neutral territory chords, you can get away with a lot of great music, really. And don't forget, I cannot stress this enough, the power of inversion and voicings cannot be underestimated. If you just pick the couple of notes and then you rearrange it somehow, it's gonna give you a much different flavor from the original sound. Well, now you guys are ready to go to the next part, which is the chromaticism territory. This is gonna be a lot of flavor, a lot of excitement. It's gonna be changing the game right now. But before you go, please let me know which of these two chords that you're gonna try first, because essentially you want to try both of them. It's only two, very functional, and you really want to use them in your playing very soon. So let me know in the comment below which one you want to try first, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the comment below, because some of you might have questions and have a hard time to verbalize it, and if you can verbalize it, it's going to be very helpful for the community. Well guys, if you like this video and if this video gives a lot of value to you, please smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload the next video. Well, thank you so much guys for hanging out with me today. You're ready for the part 3 of the chromaticism spectrum. See you there.